A bitter wind pushed against the fractured glass of Miller's diner while dawn fought to break through a veil of slate-colored clouds. This was the type of daybreak that carried weight, as though existence had neglected to paint it with vibrancy. Within the establishment, the aroma of scorched coffee and toast slathered in butter drifted across the vacant booths. In the distant corner, beside the window no patron selected unless desperation left them no alternative, an elderly woman made her entrance. She appeared each dawn, perpetually unaccompanied, perpetually silent, and perpetually dressed in the identical lengthy ebony coat and a sterling brooch crafted in the shape of a plume. She bore sorrow in her gaze like someone who had once possessed the world, then surrendered it without forewarning. Eleanor Hayes was her identity, and each morning she occupied the identical booth. And each morning, a single individual took notice of her presence. Mara Weaver was her identity, a youthful server scarcely scraping by, yet still finding the strength to offer smiles to everyone regardless of how burdensome existence grew. Mara differed from the remaining waitresses. The majority arrived for compensation, but Mara arrived seeking something different. Perhaps a justification to continue trusting that humanity could remain virtuous. She had discovered early in her years that the universe doesn't distribute fortune without effort. Her childhood contained scarcity. She mourned her parents prematurely, endured hardship across multiple foster residences, and presently at 26, she existed on gratuities that scarcely covered her housing expenses. Yet she possessed a spirit that declined to shatter. And daily when her eyes fell upon Eleanor positioned in solitude with quivering hands, something within Mara understood this woman required compassion more urgently than caffeine. Prior to advancing further, if you maintain faith that compassion remains present in our world, if you trust that modest gestures can transform existence, then please pause to like this video, subscribe to Untold Stories 0.4, and distribute it to someone requiring encouragement today. Your engagement enables us to circulate additional narratives that mend the world. Mara initially observed Eleanor 2 months prior. The aged woman never requested more than tea paired with plain toast. She tallied coins individually from a weathered purse, and her hands trembled as if they bore the burden of decades no other soul could perceive. The majority of patrons disregarded her. Several pitied her presence, though nobody engaged her in conversation. Mara couldn't determine the reason, but she felt magnetized toward Eleanor, not through inquisitiveness, but through empathy. Something about the elderly woman's isolation reminded Mara of her own image during the evenings. She wept soundlessly in her modest apartment. Therefore Mara initiated her assistance. Not ostentatiously, not theatrically, simply quietly, tenderly. She delivered Eleanor heated toast rather than cold. She replenished her tea without adding charges. Occasionally, she placed an additional muffin upon her dish. Initially, Eleanor attempted to decline, mortified, but Mara perpetually smiled and claimed it represented a diner promotion or culinary special. Both understood it wasn't genuine, though neither voiced it explicitly. Morning after morning, their silent bond strengthened. Mara discovered Eleanor cherished reading beneath lamplight, that she previously resided near the coastline, and that she formerly smiled abundantly. Eleanor, conversely, discovered that Mara performed double shifts because she possessed no relatives to support her, that she traveled home by foot to conserve funds because her vehicle expired months earlier, and that despite everything, Mara trusted kindness perpetually returned eventually. However, Eleanor never disclosed her history regarding who she had been or what she had once possessed. It appeared as though she had deleted entire segments of her existence. Then one dawn, Mara discovered Eleanor positioned at her booth with crimson eyes. She had been weeping. When Mara tenderly inquired if she was managing well, Eleanor finally murmured something unexpectedly agonizing. She possessed no residence any longer. She had been expelled from her apartment and remained uncertain where she would relocate. That evening, she stated softly she would rest in an aged bus terminal. Mara didn't hesitate momentarily. She extended her reach and grasped Eleanor's hand. Something within her fractured. She didn't possess surplus funds, didn't maintain savings, didn't even own a vehicle, but she couldn't permit this woman to vanish into the frigid darkness. That evening following work, Mara guided Eleanor home, not toward a bus terminal, but toward her personal apartment. She created space, provided Eleanor with her personal bed, and rested on the sofa. Throughout the following week, she divided her food, laundered Eleanor's garments, and assisted her in locating aid programs. Eleanor experienced tears in her eyes repeatedly. She continuously questioned why Mara was executing this. Mara solely responded, "Because nobody assisted me when necessity struck. But I persevered because I trusted someone would eventually." One morning, 7 days later, Eleanor didn't appear at the diner. Mara developed concern. The subsequent day, still Eleanor's absence continued. On the third day, alarm began ascending beneath her flesh. She hastened home following her shift, only to discover Eleanor departed. Her room stood vacant, the bed impeccably arranged, but a note rested on the pillow. "Thank you for restoring hope to me. Eleanor." No location, no clarification, nothing. Mara studied the note and experienced a devastating pain. She couldn't comprehend why it wounded so profoundly. Eleanor had exited her existence as abruptly as she had entered it. Mara dreaded something terrible had befallen her. She contacted hospitals, shelters. Nobody had encountered her. Weeks transpired, then a month, and one tranquil afternoon, everything transformed. It was an unhurried Tuesday morning at the diner. Mara was sanitizing tables when a procession of obsidian SUVs arrived outside. 4 men in suits emerged, unmistakably bodyguards. The entire diner descended into silence as they entered inside. Following them arrived 2 attorneys in precisely tailored coats. They surveyed the diner as though they were seeking someone. "Who are they searching for?" a cook murmured. "Complications," another grumbled. Then one attorney advanced forward and inquired, "Is there a Mara Weaver here?" Mara became immobile. The entire diner observed her. "Yes," she stated cautiously. "That's me." "Miss Weaver," the attorney stated calmly, "we've been directed to transport you with us." Mara's heart hammered. "Why? What occurred?" "You will comprehend shortly. Please accompany us." Dread coiled inside her, but something profounder, like an unusual pull of destiny, compelled her to follow them. The SUV door sealed behind her, and within minutes, they were traveling through the most affluent section of town. Secured estates, surveillance cameras, flawlessly groomed lawns. It represented another dimension. They halted at an immense mansion encircled by towering trees and stillness. One of the bodyguards opened the door as if Mara were nobility. Inside, gentle piano melodies resonated faintly across the magnificent halls. The attorneys guided her to a chamber where enormous windows disclosed a snow-blanketed garden. In the chamber's center sat Eleanor Hayes, adorned in a stunning lavender dress, her hair neatly arranged, her eyes luminous. Mara inhaled sharply. Eleanor smiled and stated gently, "Hello, dear." Everything suspended. Mara staggered forward. She felt overwhelmed, relieved, bewildered, and emotional simultaneously. Eleanor clarified everything. She was not an impoverished, homeless widow. She was the exclusive heir to Hayes International, among the largest private investment corporations in the nation. She possessed more fortune than she ever desired, but she mourned her husband and her sole son in a devastating accident 2 years prior. The anguish devoured her. She vanished from her corporation and from societal view. She abandoned everything: wealth, authority, obligation. She desired to understand, did compassion still persist in the world, or was it something currency had merely pretended to purchase for her? Therefore, she disappeared and existed like an anonymous person. That's when she encountered Mara, someone who didn't recognize who she was, someone who didn't desire anything from her, someone who distributed everything she possessed, even when she possessed nearly nothing. Eleanor extended her reach and held Mara's hands, precisely as Mara had once held hers. Then she voiced something that altered Mara's existence permanently. "I do not require a maid. I do not require a nurse. I require a heart I can place my faith in. I desire you beside me, Mara, not as an employee but as family. If you accept, everything I possess will eventually become yours. Not because of bloodline, but because of affection. You reminded me why existence remains worthy of living." Mara stood immobilized, tears cascading down her face. 4 years, she experienced isolation in this world, but in that instant, she recognized something beautiful. You never anticipate who you are destined to encounter, whose existence you might alter, or who might alter yours. They embrace like two spirits who had located each other in a universe of isolation. If this narrative has moved your heart, please pause to like this video and subscribe to Untold Stories 0.4. Distribute it to someone who maintains faith that compassion still holds significance. Your engagement helps preserve narratives of encouragement alive. Before I conclude, I desire to pose a question to you. What do you consider as the most powerful gesture of kindness a human being can offer? Comment below. I'll be examining every single one. Because occasionally all it requires is one gesture of kindness to convert a stranger into family, to convert isolation into affection, and to remind us that nobody is ever truly abandoned.